Right. So we've just had the latest UFC event. So I figured I'd get my good friend Apurva, who I've known for like 20 odd years, who's a big fan of UFC and MMA. So seemed like the perfect guest to bring on. How you doing, Apurva? All good?
Yeah, mate, I'm all good. Just a little bit tired
All
from
right.
waking up at stupid o'clock and then sleeping, and then it really messes up with your. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, man. Like you said, like sleeping pattern's gonna be fucked now for a while.
Yeah,
Flipping, I didn't sleep till like probably like 6:37 or something like that.
yeah. No, same.
So that's the thing, right? The event finishes, but I'm just on social media looking at all the like tweets and all the memes and stuff. So I would just, yeah. But
Sometimes I make the mistake of having a coffee at some point, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this will keep me awake. But then it keeps me awake too much. Even though I'm tired, I'm like laying in my bed like, I should be passing out now, and then it starts snowing.
oh yeah, that's another thing. When I woke up and I saw the snow, I was like, nope, staying in bed. I was like, I'm catching
Yeah.
on my sleep. There's no point getting up. So what do you think of the event as a whole then?
I thought it was a good event. It was worth staying. It was worth waking up to
Mm.
watch. Quite entertaining fights. Quite a few big stars. No titles on the line, but
Yeah, it's true
which is
actually.
quite surprising for most pay-per-views and these big events. But when Conor McGregor's on a card, they they just do they just do
Yeah,
it.
I
They
mean
just
he's
put
like
him as the main event.
the main draw really, isn't he? Conor McGregor.
Well, he's made this sport transcend boundaries, man. It's not like people didn't watch MMA and UFC before, but he brought it to the attention of the whole
He
world.
kind of made it
People,
mainstream, really, innit?
he did. It was him and Ronda Rousey, you could say, but Conor McGregor was the loudmouth. Ronda Rousey did a lot of what she did it with action. Conor McGregor did it with action, but he was loud,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
very different to what it was like in the lead up to this fight.
Yeah, I feel like since the whole Khabib thing where he kind of got humbled, he's changed his like
Yeah,
persona, and partly after the whole Mayweather thing as well. But
yeah.
I do think obviously the guy got knocked out in the second round. Where do you think he goes from here then?
I know we had a discussion earlier on, and I know a lot of people were talking about him retiring now. But I can. He said after the fight, he's up for another fight. He was talking about DS3, which I didn't realize because I didn't really watch his interview because I was like, I'm going to sleep.
Mm.
But I woke up in the morning and I was like, ooh, DS3 would be a good, the trilogy. It makes sense now because he's not going to fight for the title anytime soon. He needs to work his way back up. DS3 makes the most sense to me. He said it. I can't imagine the UFC are gonna turn down another because that's gonna be big. That's gonna
Yeah,
sell
nah.
big. It's 1-1. That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I have the issue I have with that is I feel like McGregor because he's such a household name, so big. I feel like he might think himself he should only be fighting for the title, or that's it. Or if Khabib came back, like the Khabib rematch. I don't know. I don't feel like he wants to be flirting around unless he's fighting in the top fights. I mean, it'll be a good fight, the Diaz trilogy, but no title on the line and like it. It's I feel like he might just chase the bag and go into fighting like Pacquiao or even do this Jake Paul fight or like I don't know. It's a tricky one really. If he truly is staged by his word and wants to fight and he'll take any fight, fair play to him. But I think he's chatting shit. I can't lie.
He might be fully. No, he's a big talker, isn't he? But I don't think he is in it for the money anymore
To be fair, he's
because
made his money.
he doesn't need to fight anymore. He
Mm.
doesn't need to. Like imagine, forget the amount of money he made for the UFC, like while fighting for the UFC. That Mayweather fight has he's sorted. His children are sorted. Their
Mm.
children might
He's
even
got
be
his whiskey
sorted as
brand as
long as they're not
well.
stupid. Yeah, mate. It's all this is going well for him and his family. Uh, Personally, I've been following him since he started becoming big. To be honest, I'm not like a long term UFC fan. I only sort of took notice in my second year of uni. My mate actually bought a UFC game, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. Let me watch this. There's actual real fighting because we used to like WWE back in the day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I kind of I moved to actual fighting. But yeah, around that time was when Conor McGregor came on the scene just by chance, and I was like, "All right, cool." So I seen him. I seen him do what he's been doing. He's obviously he was chasing the money, understandably. In his first UFC fight, he was still on council benefits, and now look at
Shit.
him.
Yeah, crazy.
So I personally think he's in it for the passion of fighting. Yes, he probably does think he should be fighting the best. Yes, he probably thinks he should be fighting for the title. But if he's saying he wants to fight Diaz, that's not going to be a title fight. Neither of them are anywhere near the title right now. He was talking about 3 or 4 fights this year before this fight, and if he's genuine, I would like to see him fight Diaz in the next 2 or 3 months, and maybe one more fight. He was talking about fighting Pacquiao at the end of the year, but all these things, who knows what's going to happen? But for all you know, he could come back. He could come back into the title picture because say what you want, you can love him or hate him. He is good, and he's shocked the world multiple times.
I did truly think as well after the whole Khabib thing, and he came back and he won convincingly against the last guy. I thought he'd learn and he'd got the passion back and he was going to work hard. And I thought it would be like the old Conor McGregor come back. That's what I thought. So I was expecting like a first round knockout, him to make a statement and be like set up the Khabib fight. But like him losing, it's also like imagine how disappointed Dana White must be, because if McGregor had won convincingly and called out Khabib, I think Khabib would have come out of retirement and set up like that epic rematch, and it would have done numbers as well. But now, like, Khabib's not going to come out of retirement now, I don't think. Like, what match is there for him, really, if he were to come out?
Yeah, I mean...
That would have been the fight, the McGregor rematch. Yeah,
that would have been...
The Poirier, if he fought him again, it would be a good fight, no doubt, but it's not going to draw the same attention as a McGregor match would.
I mean, nothing's going to draw the same attention as a McGregor fight, regardless.
I think McGregor losing is like, if you're like a hardcore MMA, hardcore UFC fan, you probably don't mind because you're happy to see anyone fight anyone. But for like the casual fan, or if you're trying to, get more exposure mainstream wise, McGregor losing is quite like a loss for the UFC as a whole. Like even someone like me, like I'm not a massive UFC fan. I like watching the big fighters. Like I know like a handful of people, probably like 10, 20 people who I will watch. But McGregor is obviously top of the list. Like whenever he's fighting, I'll definitely want to watch. But so him losing, I've kind of like, well, he's finished now. He's all this talk like knockout and to get knocked out himself. His whole sort of aura kind of feels like it's over for him. That's how I feel. I think even if he did come out, it will take him. Well, I don't think he'll ever get to the level that he was at now. So I think they might need to try and find a new star. Personally,
yeah, I mean it's possible. It could all go downhill from here. There's been fighters in the past like Anderson Silva looked invincible for so long, and as soon as he lost 1 or 2 fights, it just didn't look the same again. But for me, I think McGregor needs to be more active. To me, that's what I saw.
That's what he said as well. Like
he does. He fought He's fought once a year, every year for the last 2 or 3 years. He needs to fight more than that. The sport is going to pass him if he's not careful. It's little things. Dustin Poirier has been so active. He's had interim title fights. He's been fighting multiple times every year, and he's improved so much since the last fought about 6 years ago. McGregor has improved since they last fought, but probably not as much. And that's probably just because he's not as active. Practice makes perfect.
No, that's 100% true, to be fair. So if he is genuine and he's happy to put the work in and get more fights under his belt, then, in a couple of years' time, maybe he could reach that level again. But it'll be tricky. I mean, to be fair, like me personally, before I was like, I really want to see McGregor fight. Now I'm looking forward to see Michael Chandler fighting some of the people in that division. He looked really impressive. Like,
mate, I remember he used to fight for Bellator. I watch Bellator sometimes, not as much as UFC, but he was one person that always caught my attention because I think he's won the lightweight title like 5 or 6 times. Don't quote me on that, but it's a ridiculous amount of times, which obviously means he's lost it equal amount of times as well. But he was probably the best MMA fighter outside of the UFC before coming into the UFC. In my opinion, I'm not saying that's a fact, but in my opinion, he's always been quality, and that performance was impressive. I don't want to talk about the size difference, but the height difference was big. Dan Hooker's a Muay Thai fighter. Muay Thai fighters can keep people at a distance because they're essentially kickboxers, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's tall, lanky. He's very tall for the division. Michael Chandler. I don't know what the height difference was, but it was significant. So just completely starched him.
It was.
Dan Hooker's
Yeah.
no joke.
Yeah. I was a bit like. Oh, they hyped him up a lot, saying, "Oh, he's like the best outside of UFC. It was a big move, debut, hyping him up." And I was believing. I was like, "Shit, like this guy's gonna put in work." And then they spoke about Dan Hooker and what he's done. Like he's no couch potato. This guy's a good fighter as well. But he just brushed him aside like it was nothing. Like that's a big statement. That's the sort of statement I wanted Conor McGregor to make. Is in, look, I am still the guy. Khabib come out, but Chandler did it perfectly. And I mean, what fight would you like to see next from him?
I think it will be him versus Poirier for the lightweight title. That makes sense. This was, in my opinion, these are like semi-finals.
Yeah, it did. It kind of even look like that. Yeah, that'd be a good fight.
There's a few other. It would be a good fight. They're both good boxers. Chandler probably has the better like wrestling, but that's not to say Poirier won't be able to defend that. There's a few other lightweight fights which could happen, like Charles Oliveira beat Tony Ferguson. He's on a big winning streak, so he's definitely somewhere in line. And I can see Justin Gaethje fighting someone, although he just lost the title fight to Khabib, so I can't imagine he'll be right back in it. But he's there too. Maybe Chandler versus, if he doesn't fight for the title straight away, Chandler versus Gaethje might be a good option. But I think these were like two semi-finals. I can see
it does. It would work out well if they did fight. It's actually like probably the most exciting division. So much competition.
Yeah.
Apart from Khabib, who's just battered everyone. Like
him leaving has opened it up. Him leaving has opened up the title picture now. It is probably, I don't want to say it's the most stacked division, but yeah, it probably has the most legitimate title contenders. I'm not saying anyone can win the title, but look at the top 5. I don't want to say anyone can beat anyone, but everyone in the top 5 is title caliber.
Yeah, I agree. From what I've seen from everybody, I've seen everybody put in work in one way, shape, or form. So yeah, it doesn't look like there's any passengers, which is good. To be fair, I'm surprised Khabib didn't really like toy with maybe going up a weight class and trying out like people have done. If he wants to go down as like the greatest of all time,
yeah,
I feel like it's something that he should have been looking to do. But I said, I don't know much about MMA. Maybe his style wouldn't work in a different weight class or what. Like, what do you think about that?
I think that's one of the arguments that people are putting against him being the greatest of all time, is that he's 29-0. Granted, he's beaten the best fighters in the lightweight division. A lot of his fights were in Russia. Yeah. You can call it stat padding. You can say whatever you want. I'm not taking anything away from him. Khabib is the best lightweight fighter ever, probably, based on his record. Yeah. You can't really argue against that. Him going up a weight class would make sense. I think him versus Kamaru Usman, who's the welterweight champion, would be a quality fight because Kamaru Usman is a powerful, powerful wrestler who might be stronger than Khabib. That's the difference.
That would have been, Khabib good fight.
Khabib is probably stronger. I don't mean he's got more powerful punches or anything, but he's physically stronger than probably everyone in the lightweight division, probably, based on what we've seen. Like, no one's been able to get away from him. Yeah. Once he latches onto you, can't get out of that. He will not have that same power and strength at welterweight. That advantage. You won't have the same power and strength advantage at welterweight. But I agree. I think he should have gone up and fought in another division. And that would really test his mettle. People can criticize McGregor. You can say, oh yeah, he's being like spoon-fed by Dana White, but he's won titles in multiple divisions. He's fought in 3 divisions. This Daniel Cormier, light heavyweight champion, moved up to heavyweight, knocked out Stipe Miocic, probably the greatest heavyweight of all time, and won multiple titles in different divisions. These guys will go down as legendary fighters who have backed down from no fight. They've said you're fighting a different class of opponent when you go up in weight.
Yeah, it's like
Look
a
at
whole new
how exciting
challenge.
Jon Jones. Yeah, Jon Jones going to heavyweight is exciting for that same reason because he's basically done what Khabib did at light heavyweight. Now he's going to heavyweight. That might cement his place as the greatest of all time if he wins the heavyweight title because he's essentially undefeated. He's got one disqualification. But
Yeah, we don't
won't
count
talk
that.
about that.
But there, okay. So, who do you think wins? Francis Ngannou or Stipe Miocic? Who wins?
It's hard to bet against Stipe. But Ngannou's scary, man.
Yeah, I can't lie.
It's a cliche. People are like the baddest man on the planet, the scariest puncher in the UFC ever. Maybe he might have the strongest like straight right hand in the whole world. I don't know.
I can't lie. Yeah.
You talk about Deontay Wilder. This guy, I don't know, man. You must have seen the highlights of his knockouts. You must have seen some of the fights. If he connects.
I remember his last fight. I can't remember who it was against, but he was fighting another guy who looked scary as well. I was like, oh, these two are.
Rosenstrike.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. And I was like, both of them look like monsters. And then when he was unloading those, like, just sledgehammer blows, and I think he missed like 3 of them, and then the one caught, and that was it. But when he's coming at you throwing those, like, there's no escape. And I don't care what anyone says. Fair enough. They're both clearly great heavyweights. Just everything in my head tells me this guy's scary and he's gonna kill him. But then I said the same about Brock Lesnar when he came in UFC. I was like, this guy's gonna beat everyone. But the guy got kicked in the stomach and never came back. So it's coming out. It's a March, isn't it? That fight, Miocic and Ngannou. So I can't wait for that.
Another good pay-per-view. I think there's 3 title fights on that card actually. But Ngannou, he's a genetic freak. He's a monster. That guy, he doesn't look like he's juiced. He's naturally that big. Did you know when he was young? Obviously, he grew up in Africa, and he used to work in sand mines. So he was shoveling sand day in, day out, day in, day out. Then he moved to France, and he was like, "Oh yeah, cool. Let me get into some boxing." And now look at him. He's
crazy.
He looks like someone from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. No, he looks like he was made in a lab, like 100%.
Yeah. But when you hear him speak, I've heard him on podcasts and interviews. He's such a nice guy, apparently.
I've never heard him talk. I kind of like the fact that I don't know what he sounds like. Adds to his aura.
It's just I was gonna say it'll completely like take away from how frightening he is when you hear him talk. Now, he's scary, but he probably has improved since he beat Miocic, since he lost to Miocic. Yeah. Sorry, but if you're just talking about pure skill level, I don't think anyone is near Miocic at heavyweight. The closest person who I could have said was Daniel Cormier, who beat Miocic, and then Miocic beat him to win his title back. Jon Jones, moving up to heavyweight, like I said earlier on, that's going to be interesting because he's probably the most well-rounded and skillful fighter in MMA, possibly. But I'd have to still bet on Miocic to beat Ngannou.
So, and do you think straight away Miocic wins? Do you think the next logical fight will be Jon Jones Miocic straight, or do you think Jon Jones will have to earn his stripes at heavyweight and then?
Jon Jones will get the heavyweight title fight straight away because he's Jon Jones.
I think that's what everyone wants to see anyway. So
yeah, I mean, who else is he gonna fight? I mean, there's other people there, but he doesn't need to prove himself. Yeah, people are like, oh yeah, he needs to prove himself at heavyweight, maybe, but he's Jon Jones. I mean,
no, I agree with you 100%. Like, it's the fight that everyone wants to see.
He'd go straight into a title fight. He would, because he probably deserves it based on merit in the cage, not outside the cage. Merit in the cage, he definitely deserves
outside, the guy's a nutter, man. My God. But
that would be.
The thing with Jon Jones is his last couple fights, I haven't really been that convinced. I can't lie. So, what do you think about that? I can't remember which one it was. The guy was fighting him on like one leg. His leg was done, and I thought he won.
Thiago Santos.
I think
Yeah, I mean, everything we've bigged him up quite a bit, but I probably agree. Actually, his last couple of performances haven't been as exciting.
Maybe that's just because it's come with people calling him the GOAT and there's more expectation. And he got the job
Yeah,
done, so he's still.
yeah. That's
It doesn't matter if it's not pretty or whatever. He won those fights. So
I mean, everyone goes through that. Even Khabib, he's been dominant in so many fights, but there's a fight here and there where he's just not saying he's just edged it, but like it'll be like a 5 round decision,
mm.
and it was
I
kind of
mean,
like
anything at the
he
end of the
won,
day in
but
MMA, anything can happen, right? So
basically,
yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how that does pan out. So we kind of lightweight and heavyweight. So I don't know what other weight classes really interest me. Like Adesanya, what's the latest with him? Because I swear there's no one on his level at his weight class. What's he doing? Is he going
no,
up
that's
or?
what he's moving. Yeah, he's fighting Jan Blachowicz, who's the light heavyweight champion for the title. I think it's on the same card. Let me get these
Yeah.
UFC event. Yeah, he's moving up to fight the
Oh.
light heavyweight champion,
See,
which he deserves.
that's what Khabib should have done. Like you've proved yourself at your level,
Yes.
beating everyone. Now take the challenge and go up. But
That's
not taking. That's the thing. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Khabib. He's obviously clearly the best at his weight class, but I don't think you can call him the GOAT unless he's willing to do more. Because other people have done that. Can't deny probably the best lightweight of all time, but to be the
no,
greatest of
he
all time in
definitely.
the whole competition,
Hmm.
I don't think so. But like I said, I'm not a true UFC fan, so people will probably disagree. It's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I think back in the day, before people started fighting in different divisions like this, people used to fight in different divisions, but people didn't just move up and just fight
Mm.
for the title straight away. He may have fit into the category of the greatest of all time back then, but nowadays you've got so many fighters winning titles and being like, "I'm better than everyone. Let me go and fight someone bigger than me. Not bigger than me, but moving up a weight class, moving down a weight class." Sorry, and winning titles too, not just fighting, actually winning. So it's needed. Uh,
I'm
I
surprised.
don't see him coming back.
Yeah, I'm surprised because he's literally on the cusp of greatness. I mean, he's already a great, but
Yeah,
he's so close to cementing his legacy as the greatest. Like, why would you not? Do you think he just doesn't care? He's like, well, I've done my business. I've proven I'm the best. I can go. Does he not have that hunger to carry on? Some people just
I think his
don't care. Like, he looks like the guy
I
just
think
likes fighting. I don't think he cares about what people think of him.
I think his father passing has had a bigger impact on him than people
Yeah,
forget
when he is
because
trainer
yeah,
and shit.
I was gonna say he was his trainer for his whole life. His dad was his trainer, and then for his dad to pass away, hit him hard. You saw how emotional he was
Mm.
after beating Gaethje before he announced his retirement. And I think that's definitely had a big impact on him. And I don't know if he would have come back regardless. I know Dana White said he might come back if someone puts in a good performance and this, that, and the other. Khabib didn't say that. Dana White said
Yeah,
that.
true.
Don't forget, Dana White's a businessman and he wants to bring in numbers. More
Of
people are going to
course.
tune in if he's like, "Oh, Khabib might fight the winner of one of these fights." Yeah, I think he's done. I don't think he. When I say I don't think he has it in him, I don't mean his ability. I just don't think he has the will to compete. Which is fair enough. I mean, that's his choice. He's retiring a world champion, undefeated world champion. He's trying to keep a promise he made to his mother to not fight
Mm,
again after his dad's passing. I think we may have seen the last of him.
that's fair. I mean, it'll be disappointing because you want the big names to carry on fighting as long as they can. As long as there's still something less to give. Obviously, some they need to know when to call it a day. Like,
There's a lot of those.
yeah. But like if you know somebody's still got something to give, it's a shame when they just call it a day. It happens in flipping every sport, really. Some
Yeah,
people would rather like retire at the top and just
yeah.
run up into the sunset rather than yeah go through a decline. which is fair. Yeah, like with him, I actually don't think it's anything about pride. I don't think he wanted to retire the best and call it a day. I generally think the guy, like, he's just probably after his father's gone, probably just like you said, keeping his promise to his mum. That's probably just all it is. So fair play to him if that's what it is. Obviously, it's bad for everyone else, bad for Dana White, bad for the fans.
Yeah.
But family's got to come first, I guess. So can't really argue.
Yeah. He's got everything he's needed out of it financially. He's a hero back in his home country.
100%, yeah.
He does so much for charity with from what he's earned. I don't know. Might see him start up a gym or something back home, and if he hasn't already, and just dedicate the rest of his life to teaching people in the same way his dad taught him.
Probably will. Yeah, fair play. Whatever he does, I wish him well. Hopefully, he does come out and we get to see more fights from him. But if not, fair enough. But the Conor McGregor fight would have been, even though Khabib probably would have smashed him a second time, just the hype around it and the way Conor talks. But I'd want trash talking Conor, not humble Conor. I'd want him to come out and trash talk, hype the shit out of this fight. Probably gas me up because I'll buy into it. His hype. If he's coming out saying, "Oh, I've trained, I know how to beat him," I'll probably buy into it. I'll be like, he probably can. Yeah, which is what people want.
I think Conor McGregor buys into his own hype. Like, he hypes himself up so much, and the thing is, he backs it up a lot of the time.
Yeah, like it's not. No one's saying he's not good. He clearly is a world-class fighter. He's capable, so he's not one of these people that just picks himself up and gets knocked out every week. He clearly is great fighter. Going back to what we said at the start, I don't know, man. I think his hype around UFC is done. He should probably do the Jake Paul fight, smash Jake Paul, earn a fuckload of money, like get everyone back. Right now, he's a meme as well. Like, I'm seeing so many pictures of him like sparked out. At least if he batters Jake Paul, he'll get everyone back on his side. Everyone will love the guy. Everyone hates Jake Paul. Like, everyone would like to see that guy get knocked out. So doing that will win over a lot of fans. Pacquiao, I mean, if he fights him, he'll probably lose to Pacquiao if it's a boxing fight. Yeah. So again, if he wants the money, which I don't think he needs, he'll take that. I don't know. And then me personally, I think the guy would be perfect for WWE. I mean, we've seen Ronda Rousey went over to WWE and did bits. I think she became champion and she headlined WrestleMania. I think she was the first ever woman to headline WrestleMania, which is massive. So, and she was obviously massive in UFC, but not at the level that Conor McGregor is. So if he came over, and I remember back in the day, I don't know when this was, a few years ago, I think there was lots of online beef between WWE wrestlers and Conor McGregor. So if he did come, there's so many altercations that could happen. It would be interesting to see. I think it would take WWE to the next level as well in terms of. Yeah. I feel like it used to be massive. We used to watch it back in the day, religiously, week in, week out, knew everything.
Eddie Guerrero.
What a guy! All right,
just bring it up.
R.I.P. to that hero. Those days worked elite, and it's not the same now. Anybody tell you WWE is not the same. But if they signed Conor McGregor, I'd probably get back into it. I can't lie, just to see how it pans out.
No, I think he's got a lot of options. He's made for that sort of entertainment. I agree. Yeah. He will be a joy to listen to. Forget even the fighting. Forget what happens in the
promos,
ring.
Exactly. Plus, with whenever he steps into the octagon, there's always a chance he could get seriously hurt. Whereas WWE, because it's all fake. It's just an easy way of making money. Very little risk. I mean, they're not gonna. He did sign. They're not gonna say we're gonna put you through tables and have barbed wire matches or anything. In his contract, it would just be like Brock Lesnar. That guy, he's so well protected. He earns a fuckload in WWE. Yeah. Conor McGregor could easily be that guy. I don't know if that will ever happen. I don't know what he thinks about the company, but like he said, he's got options. Being the name, the household name he is, he'd probably do whatever he wants, realistically.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, there was a point a year or two ago when Conor McGregor might have been the most famous sportsman in the world.
I wouldn't even doubt that. Yeah.
So yeah, bringing him in, Vince would be doing good business bringing someone like that. And he's a household name. Say what you want, everyone knows him. People who don't even watch sport have heard of Conor McGregor. He would bring eyes back to the WWE, and a little bit of attitude, which which we grew up watching. That sort of
Attitude era.
Attitude, quite literally
stuff.
the Attitude Era. Yeah, I think it'd be a good move for him. Good move for the WWE. They got a lot of legends sort of retiring and becoming old, so it'll be nice and fresh, like The Undertaker retiring recently. Obviously, Ric Flair went a few years ago. Shawn Michaels is gone. Triple H, I don't know. Is Triple H still fighting? I know he's like
he's like
sort
flipping.
Of boss man,
yeah, I'm sure he's like the new Vince McMahon. I think he runs things now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But the old guard are gone. Again, the people who we grew up watching.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not saying the people now. I don't watch WWE that often. I watch it sometimes. They're good in the ring. They're good athletes, but it's something. I don't get the same excitement and nostalgia which I used to get when I used to.
Do you know? Watch it. Well, I think the problem with WWE is now. I think they've gone, rather than back in the day there was like characters and it was all promo and mic skills. Like you had The Rock and Stone Cold who were just sick on the mic and they brought the attention. Now they've kind of gone away from that. And it's all about the athletes and wrestling. But then if you want to see like athletes and people fighting, surely you'd watch like UFC or boxing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
If you want legit fighting, legit athletes, watch legit athletes like UFC. If you want like the whole camaraderie of WWE, where jokes and flipping wild stuff, that's what WWE should focus on. Personally, that's what I think. Like,
I think you're right. That's why people like Chris Jericho have lasted so long, because they're good at both. They're so good at both as well. They're so good.
You can think of like Shawn Michaels was great at both. Yeah, I think people nowadays they get athletes and they try and make them into like stars with charisma. If you haven't got charisma, you haven't got it. Like
no, you can't train charisma. Not like that.
Yeah, 100%. But whether there's been people that's gone from UFC to WWE and vice versa. Like Brock Lesnar has, Ronda Rousey, obviously. There's another guy in WWE at the moment, Matt Riddle. I don't know if did he ever fight in UFC? I think he got fired, didn't he?
The name rings a bell.
I remember reading. I think he got
Tom
fired.
Riddle from Harry Potter. Voldemort. Oh, Matt Riddle. Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
I think he got fired for like weed something from UFC, and then WWE.
Is this the guy that walks around in flip flops?
yeah.
I think he was at Bellator. Yeah, so he was an MMA fighter. Oh wait, he was in the UFC as well.
Yeah, probably he never made it big, but there has been people moving from side to side, so could happen. Open path for plenty of people from DC would be good in flipping WWE as well. He seems like a calm guy as well. I like him on commentary. Yeah, he seems like a top guy.
He's a big WWE fan. His dream when he had the heavyweight title was to fight Brock Lesnar. That was his dream.
Yeah, I remember they were teasing. There's always been teased of like Brock Lesnar, DC, and Brock Lesnar, Jon Jones, and they just never materialized.
Lesnar DC would have been good because they're both wrestlers. DC's a different class of wrestler though. DC would have just completely ended Lesnar, to be completely honest. So it wouldn't have been a fair fight. The class, it's just a different class. But that was his dream fight. That's what he was. When he won the heavyweight title, when he beat Stipe, he was at the Dana, give me Lesnar, give me Brock. And Brock Lesnar was the one that was kind of like, and he was obviously on his
as
WWE
fans,
contract.
You always want to see the dream fights in anything.
Yeah,
like,
that was his dream fight.
Yeah, whenever they happen, even like in boxing, like which everyone wants to see Fury Joshua. Hopefully they make it happen.
Yeah.
But like, and any of these people that dodge fights and can't rate them. At least Fury and Wilder, like that was a big fight. And they got it done. So fair play. They did it twice even. UFC is normally quite good at making the big fights happen. To be fair, like I don't. You all know better than me. Has there ever been any like obvious UFC fights the fans wanted that never happened? But Tony Ferguson never fought Khabib, did he? But even that's not like.
That was you can't blame the UFC for that, because they scheduled that about 3 or 4 times, and first Khabib was sick, and then Tony Ferguson was injured, and then this happened and that happened, and it just never happened. That might be the biggest fight never to have happened in recent times. But no, you're right. UFC are pretty good at matchmaking. The matchmakers are good. I would like to think a lot of the top fighters are willing to fight. If if there's hype surrounding a fight, then the match makes sense. A lot of them just say yes. Not a. It's a bit sad when people are like, I don't want to fight him for this reason. I don't want to fight him for that. Just fight. If you're a champion, you just
Yeah,
fight anyone.
100%. It does help that
Anyone
they're
who's got
all
in
under
front
the
of you.
same company as well, and Dana White kind of has the final
Yes.
say. Whereas in boxing, you have different promotions and like
It's red tape, man. Too much
rights
red
and
tape.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why. To be fair, this would be a good note to end on. But do you think UFC's overtaken boxing in terms of like popularity? Because obviously boxing's been massive for years. Ali, Tyson, it's always been massive. Even like, I think it's come back now, heavyweight boxing, but it
Yes.
dwindled a bit over the years, and it was like Pacquiao, Mayweather, Canelo that kind of was the only thing going really. But UFC's come up leaps and bounds in the past few years. Do you think it's actually bigger than boxing now?
There's still more money in boxing when it comes down to it in the end. If you're talking the like spread of popularity, UFC is exponential in comparison to boxing. It's hard to say it's more popular. I would be biased because I'm a MMA fan. Before I watch boxing. I appreciate it, but I'm more excited at MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai. That's what I find more interesting. Probably partly because I train doing that sometimes. I don't train just boxing. So for me, watching it is a lot more exciting. So yeah, it'd be a very biased for me to say yes. But the hype surrounding it at the moment is there. And you got to give credit to Dana White and the UFC in particular during this whole COVID pandemic.
Fight Island and
they
everything.
obviously-
Yeah, I remember when he first toyed the idea.
It's amazing.
People would think it was
I thought it was
crazy,
a joke.
but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it was real, and then some out of nowhere they're like in Abu Dhabi, and then like on an island. It's like it's literally an island. There's a racetrack, there's a hotel, and then they have the Etihad Arena now. You just fight. You have to go then quarantine for like a week or something like that with your whole team in your hotel room. Have you seen the hotel rooms that like the main event fight? They were all like customized for them and stuff, and I was like, oh my god. But I think during the pandemic, it's actually done the UFC good. Maybe not financially, but purely popularity-wise. There was a point where there was no sport on TV, and UFC was still running events.
Yeah, they
That's
done
benefited them.
very well. You have to give them that. I would say boxing probably is still bigger just because of the history, but the way it's going with boxers dodging each other, people don't want to fight people. Plus, you've only got like a handful of like top boxers that you want to see. Like I couldn't watch unless it's even I'll watch the heavyweights like Fury and AJ, and I'll watch probably like Canelo. There's not many other people that I want to watch. Whereas UFC, there's loads of people that are exciting to watch, and plus I can watch I watched the whole main event last night. I didn't just watch the co-main events. I watched all 5 on the main card, and I happily watched it. And I thought it was good. Whereas boxing, it's hard to watch all like the early matches and then wait for the main event. Like you only really want to see the main event. So UFC's going the right way. Still a little bit to go, but with people like Conor McGregor and Khabib and Jon Jones raising sort of profile of it, give it a few more years, it'll probably be same level, and then UFC could even go further, I think.
It's the amount of quality fighters, and it's not just the men's division. The women's divisions are stacked.
That's another thing as well. Yeah,
some of the fights are some of the female champions. When you see them fight, you're like, what? Wow! I mean, the bantamweight and featherweight champion Amanda Nunes, the one who knocked out Ronda Rousey, absolutely destroyed her. She might be the pound for pound best fighter in the UFC. In my opinion, she might actually be that. You go down to flyweight, Valentina Shevchenko, her nickname's the Bullet, and when you watch her fight, you completely understand why. She is a ninja. It's from top to bottom, every single division, every single male division, every single female division, top 10 of... Do you know how many divisions there are? 6, 7, this 80, 100 fighters in the UFC who are world class. In boxing, like you said, you can't sit and watch a whole card, because there's a significant difference in quality when you go from the main event and then the undercard.
Yeah,
You're like,
100%.
oh, these guys are bums. You sit there, I'm like, I can fight this guy. Obviously not. But whereas when you watch a UFC card, every fighter on a main event card, a pay-per-view card, you're like, wow, these guys, it's exciting. And yeah, there's a lot of hype surrounding it. And yeah, I agree with everything you said as well.
Yeah, just touching on like the women's fighters, I like hats off to UFC, because I think other than maybe like tennis, where women's players are just as big as the men, UFC is another one where Ronda Rousey was probably the biggest in the company at a point. So the men and women are treated equally, rightly so, and they're both. You can appreciate how good they are. Like they try and push women's football. Not to knock it, obviously they're world class in their own right, but there's a big gap in class between men's and women's football. I'm sure over the years, as it's getting more exposure now, it will improve, which is good, which is what they should be doing. But when you watch UFC women fight, they are legit, like, incredible to watch.
Do you know what the reason for that is? They all train together. There's no segregation in training. You train with men, you train with women. You train everyone. In my gym, I've sparred women. We never sparring is supposed to be soft, regardless. But the point is, it's mixed. So everyone gets to the same level. Obviously, when they compete, they don't fight each other, but they train together, and that's a big thing.
That's
why the quality is what it is.
Yeah,
everyone trains together. Champions train with champions.
that's the only way everyone gets better as well. Yeah, you can see it as well.
Standard.
Well, that's a good note to end on. I think I don't have no idea how long we've been talking for. Probably far too long, but you know what it is. I had fun talking. Hope you had fun as well.
Me too.
Yeah, we'll have to whenever there's a UFC event, a big one. We'll have to do this again. We'll try and get Gilmore involved as well. Hopefully next time, more people. And anyone who's made it this far in the video, if you're watching, if you like it, drop a like, comment if you disagree or agree with us, and then if you want to, you can subscribe, because I'll make more random videos like this. And that's pretty much it, everybody. Take care.